Their stats are so great together. We'll talk as the night goes on of why they are such a good connection. Mahomes, deep drop, sidearm. Kelsey again to the 25-yard line. First one went for 16. Tony Adams in the secondary at safety. Here's Sky Moore coming around to get it on the edge. That's a good run of 7 from Moore. Quincy's brother Quinnen is the star up front on the D-line for the Jets. Second and 10. Mahomes flushed, steps up, ready to take off, and he'll turn it into a first down. How many times does he do it? Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the back now. He's got the quick pitch, trying to get to the edge. Helps himself forward to the 46-yard line. Third and short. Pacheco almost got in the backfield. Instead, into the open field and accelerating. Pacheco in for the touchdown. The Jersey Kid back in his home state for 6.
Running backs are the stars, and sometimes it's the guard that's the star. Watch number 65, Trey Smith, right here. Wham! Talking about opening up a hole, and then Pacheco, you forget how fast he is. And Mahomes played receiver, and I think he'd know what they were doing on the other end. It's just an amazing relationship.
Mahomes from 25, comes back to the inside. This is wide open. The flag is down, and there's a ton of room for Pacheco. Inside the 40-yard line with a huge gain. It's the spring 3. Mahomes wide open. It's Noah Gray to the end zone for the touchdown. So another third down and another big play. This time it is Gray with his first of the year. And the Chiefs are rolling. To his tight end. So many of those to Kelsey. There's another good tight end, Noah Gray with that one. 17-0 KC. Because all the Jets fans were bought in. So were the national media. They get it to Xavier Gibson. Almost lost it on the way through, and then finally is brought down quickly by Leo Chanel.
So thanks, Mom, for a great career so far.
The flea flicker here nearly turns into a sack. Wilson finally does get sacked. Second man through with the pressure from the edge, Mike Edwards.
That's like flipping the bat or something,
Exactly.
wasn't it?
You get that little shovel from Mahomes, took a huge hit, bounced off it, and he has that power to go through hits.
Be a very quick one.
Chiefs with the rush, Zach trying to get out of there, and he won't. He will be sacked to end this first half as Chris Jones split a lot of snaps in this first half. Part of the rush to get there for Kansas City. Moving Gibson, giving it Breece Hall, trying to bounce and use the speed. Hall brought down. Terrific play on the edge by Joshua Williams. And learn how to reduce your cancer risk. Chiefs take over from the 12. Good space for Pacheco. Turns the corner, heads upfield. They knocked out of bounds shy of the 30-yard line. On the pressure. Picked up as Wilson throws. It's up in the air. The deflection incomplete. Going for Cobb, and McDuffie was right there as part of the coverage with Mike Edwards. Halfway through the fourth. Wilson lost it on that snap. And was that recovered by Wharton inside? Yes. Rashawn Wharton comes away with it for Kansas City. It had been such a good night for Zach Wilson, and a mistake there with the snap. The Jets. Snap was okay. Didn't secure it. Sean Wharton got it, and the Chiefs have it right around midfield.
Been desperately trying to get the ball back to Kelsey.
Mahomes has time here. Jets with coverage downfield. Mahomes with forever's got a long way to go. Got 10, got 20, got the first down at the 35-yard line. And he gives you the Kelsey point. Mahomes has Jerick McKinnon as his back, galloping away. Mahomes pressured, escaping again. Mahomes got the first down and goes down inbounds before the touchdown that will end the game.
Hey, welcome back to the Red Hour. Season 5, live from Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. I am Sean Tyler, your host. The crew is in the building.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get everybody introduced so we can jump right in. We got lots to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, to my left, cousin Darren Smith. What's up?
No, but man, glad to survive New York City in one piece.
Oh my goodness.
Did you want to choke Patrick Mahomes for not running in the end zone?
Yes.
Yeah, because
It was a bad
I
beat.
think I had -3.5, so no, I was fine with it. It was what's shocking was the most shocking thing was somebody at this table, which wasn't me, had Patrick Mahomes for a rushing touchdown, and
Don't put my business out there like that. It's not true.
hold on. I said somebody tell me.
He's the only other person that bets
Yeah,
here.
they know. They watch this long enough to know
what's going on.
He said, and we're not just audio. People can see.
I'm not going to say any other names. Pointing on your elbows.
As he's eyeballing him, I'm not going to say who it was.
Everybody know what I do. So it ain't no secret.
Why he trying to make people feel so bad for him? Like, oh, I survived another week in New York City.
Because if he's going to put you on blast, you didn't even mention his cheeseburger attack.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're going to talk about that? We have the meat. If they watch the pregame show, they know.
Yeah.
Put you on blast with your IBS.
It was rough.
So,
It was a rough one.
to my right, nephew, Professor Wall Street, Steve Walsh. What's up?
I'm feeling good.
Even though Patrick lost you some money?
Well,
Now that it's out there.
yeah, like $999,000 worth.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was that kind of bit.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, now he was one of the parlays, one of the 15th, umpteenth parlays that I had, and he had one job, score a touchdown,
Hey, they all can't be
run a
winners.
touchdown in.
But-
That's all he had to do.
But the way they were playing, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. On the end, we have the infamous. Oh, he looked moist today.
Yeah.
TJ Q. What's up,
Yeah.
bro?
I'm good, man. I got a good night's rest. The last couple of weeks, the Sundays to open the season.
I'm surprised you still don't have on your silver from last night.
No, I actually did.
Did you wear silver to the concert?
Yeah.
I didn't see any photos. You ain't post nothing.
I haven't yet.
I have
okay.
one. He was doing the put a ring on it dance.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh
He
man,
didn't get the scene when Church Girl came on and I started twerking.
He actually ruined the mute challenge, but we'll discuss all of that. Q, I don't remember if it was Miami or Dallas that would go 8-0 that you said they would go 8-0, but neither one of them are going 8-0 now, so I don't have to carry your equipment into the club or whatever now.
Yeah,
So
no, that's cool.
that's
'Cause
over with.
We'd have to rewatch that to rehash the bets. We need to write down our bets anyway, because
we do.
But both Miami and Dallas have lost games now, so
horribly too.
So it's all good. Welcome into season 5, week 3 of the Red Hour. We're live from Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. The Chiefs yesterday, Sunday Night Football, took on the New York Jets, and Hollywood in the building last night. But
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, and I get it.
This is blasphemous for you to say that name just not even 24 hours after a queen leaves, but okay.
You don't want to have that debate against Taylor
That's
Swift,
not- yeah,
Beyonce
I'm
right now.
poking the bear right now.
Well, I mean, there's no bear to poke. I mean, Beyonce did not sell out Arrowhead. Taylor Swift sold out 2 nights in an hour.
Look, we had this argument on the show Saturday. He doesn't let up. He doesn't let up. He doesn't understand that.
And it's okay. I mean,
But we all know the demographic. So again, back to
exactly.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift fans are all over the world. Beyonce fans are in Compton. Just an analogy. The analogy of, see what I'm saying?
Oh.
But neither here nor there, because my daughter's here today, and she was there last night. She still got on her Beyonce ponytail and doing her.
Hey,
She's giving you that evil eye too.
She is.
Hey, this radio show went right wing so fast.
Thank you, Q, because I'm just like, where are we taking this?
Hey,
the views and opinions.
Here's alone.
But yesterday, speaking of the Swiftie, nephew broke the internet last night. Did you see?
Oh, really?
So as Taylor Swift was coming in 30 minutes before the game in the bowels of the stadium, who was walking in front of her?
Oh, that was after.
When they were leaving.
After they were leaving?
Yeah,
all
when
right.
they were
So,
leaving.
yeah, dressed like a Sunday dinner plate.
Oh, yeah, because Steve it's so funny because Steve always dresses so well. And this is like no sarcasm. Like Steve always dresses so well for these, these NFL media events that even at the Super Bowl, like people are like, hey, I saw you 3 years ago, and I remember your suit and shoes, and now you still have on a really sharp suit and shoes. So it's like, dang,
He's
Steve,
famous now.
Like, come on.
But here's the thing. He showed me the video because I don't, do a lot of online stuff. He's walking directly toward the camera to make sure he's got a good, clean shot. You can see me. He does like a little.
It was surprising, like, because I didn't even see him, and then the security guy was like, "Hey, sir,
you're blocking Taylor."
And I turned around like, "What?" And I turned back around and I was like, "Oh, there you go." But by that time, it was already too late.
Steve was just trying to insert his inner beehive into that.
Of course.
Well,
they needed something.
Yeah.
His beehive following got him no bumps. His Taylor Swift episode got him some bumps. So just like Travis Kelce, he is benefiting off the swiftness.
Yep.
Nephew, congratulations on breaking the internet yesterday.
Thank you. If he gets us some free wings.
Speaking of broken, these Kansas City Chiefs yesterday started off looking like we thought they should against the New York Jets.
I see old Steve was a Swiftie last night. Come on. Toby. Royster.
Steve was a stalker last night.
See?
I'm going to go back to the press room. I think I left my stuff there.
So is your Taylor Swift name Stifty?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Let's go back to your notes.
The views and opinions expressed on the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and
So the game started off just like we thought it should against a backup quarterback and a struggling New York Jets team. The Chiefs were 17-0, and then all of a sudden, the Swift effect took over. And it seems like they were more concerned with looking at Hollywood in that box, and everything went downhill. But it turned around. But what happened to make this Kansas City Chiefs squad make Zach Wilson look like a Pro Bowler?
Patrick Mahomes trying to do too much.
But can you say that was Patrick Mahomes, even though he didn't do Patrick Mahomes things?
But he don't play defense.
But Zach Wilson came out and did stuff that he hadn't been doing in the first 2 weeks.
Well, when I say that, you got to understand the team had a 17-0 lead, and I think it was 17-2 or 17-5. But he put the defense. The defense was playing lights out, but the interception that he threw is why I say he was doing too much. Because as Steve was saying, I mean, even the interception, the pass that
and one of them looked just like a plain old pass to a Jets receiver.
It looked like it was an interception. It was no lift under. So when you throw an interception like that you could have easily extended the lead to 24-0, put the game out of reach. But instead, you have the interception. I can't remember how far they returned it, but now you got the defense coming right back out there on the field when they just got off the field. So now you're putting them out there, and because I think you had it felt like back-to-back interceptions. Again, so when you do that,
interception, a 3-and-out, and then an interception again. So
so you're putting the defense at a disadvantage to where when they're me and Steve talked about it. What you want to do is make Zach Wilson a thrower, and that's what they initially forced him to do, and he was going 3-and-out. But when Patrick Mahomes throws an interception and puts them in great field position, they turn around. They don't have that far to go to score. Now it becomes a ball game, and so it ended up being more of a dogfight than what it should have been. And then they got away from the run. I mean, they were running the football with Pacheco at ease,
and Pacheco was lights out for a while.
And I don't care who, in what profession. If something is kind of easy and you wake up, you're like, oh, today's going to be real easy. You're going to kind of check out at some point during the day. And I think that's what they did during the game. The defense kind of were like, oh, we got this. But they just checked out. And then once they checked
learned their lesson from that crap.
Once they checked out, it was almost too late.
But the defense didn't check out. Again, it was Mahomes doing too much. And now you're putting the defense back out there when they shouldn't have been. They should have been resting while the offense put more points on the board, come back out. That way, because now you're down 24-0, the defense can actually go after Zach Wilson, get some sacks, and put some pressure on him.
And it was said that the Jets coach told Zach, listen, this playbook was designed for Aaron Rodgers. We know you're not Aaron Rodgers, but we have to find you in here somewhere, and we know you're a thrower. We've seen you do it.
And I mean, if we're if we're thinking about the Jets and how they prepare for the season, even in preseason, I mean, you think this game has a gold star by it, correct?
Right.
And so when you're going over packages and schemes, hey, we're using this in week 4 at home against Kansas City. Like, I mean, I would guess that's, what these things are earmarked for. But in that, losing Aaron Rodgers, I think some of the scheme defensively and all that was still the same. But
And they said they really didn't change what they had planned offensively, but what they told Zach was, listen, get out of your own head, go out there and have some fun.
so we see what Justin Fields was saying the week previous.
Exactly.
But I think he has to understand too, and I don't know if they told him this, but you are the guy. Because if every week he's gonna be kind of walking on eggshells, where are they gonna bring somebody else in? Are they gonna bring Colin Kaepernick in? Are they gonna bring whoever else in?
And that's the other thing. You have
you
this
don't
young,
want him walking on
you
eggshells.
have this young quarterback, and you know he's watching. And we'll talk to our special guest a little bit about how players watch some of these football shows and listen to the rhetoric that's going around how they're playing and what they're doing.
Yep.
So I'm sure they were all in his head, which is why you saw all night long the players on that Jets bench going over and patting him on the back and reassuring him, letting him know, hey, bro, we're here with you.
Yep.
Let's just.
And I think that was like solidarity amongst all the players, because I mean we may talk about it later, but even the Chris Jones interview, that post game. Who was
even
it,
though he
Rodney
kept
Harrison?
Rodney tried to bait him.
He kept trying to bait him into that, but you could tell the Chiefs, were already prepared. You know, Andy's a coach that, his team is going to be prepared
He's
for that.
a player's coach.
And so give him his praise. And it's similar to the Patriot way, because the Patriots never talk bad about anybody.
Well, it was almost Willie Gay went through that earlier in the week, where he was asked about, what did he think about Zach Wilson in the offense, and he sat there and was kind of like,
they're gonna run the
ball. I don't feel like he was trying to be funny or malicious or anything like that. He was just like, gave him that silence, and then they took it and ran with it. And I feel like that is kind of what pushed the Jets, the offense a little bit too.
But again, I mean, let's keep it a buck. That's what we're supposed to do. They made Zach Wilson. They made Zach Wilson look like Aaron Rodgers, because the offense played like crap, because they went away from
a young Aaron Rodgers.
At that. But I mean, look, man, the man last week was getting sacked and getting hit all over the place and looked like he couldn't play football. And the defending Super Bowl champion comes in to where we always talk about how if you are that team, you are supposed to dominate a team that people expect you to dominate, especially if they're bad. Now, we talked pregame about what the Chiefs did against the Bears last week and how they worked, offense, defense, everything was working together. Now put that against this defense, that offense that you did last week, put that against this defense. And they were able to do it early on in the ball game where they jumped up to a 17, and then all of a sudden, as Patrick said, you got greedy. And when you got greedy, now you start doing things.
He did say that.
I mean,
you saw Pat take responsibility. He was accountable. It was like, that was me. I just because he said, throw the ball.
And I posted that. That was the laziest throw that I've ever seen him make. Like
but
toss it up.
But he's also gained a habit of that. Like when Patrick Mahomes, when it's tasked for him to be the superhero, he usually has Travis or Tyreek on the other end to make things happen with the catch.
If we can't say Taylor Swift, but we definitely can't say Tyreek Hill.
We're gonna say Tyreek Hill. They're missing this piece.
I don't think so.
I can't say they're missing.
They're looking for a number one wide receiver.
You can't say they're missing Tyreek based off of what they accomplished last year, but they are missing a true number one wide receiver. And
that's what I'm saying as far as like his habits, because him being Superman, he's able to make those those big plays.
And with
to
that in
bail
mind,
the team out.
You watched Patrick Mahomes go, all right, enough's enough. And he did what Coach Reed should have let him do week 1 against Detroit and just go ahead and finish it. Just do what you got to do, become Patrick Mahomes. And he didn't. He took that out of his hands. Yesterday, Patrick was like, all right, I got to get us back in it. And he did exactly what he had to do.
And the flip side though was week 1, his receivers were dropping passes to where it kind of took him.
But it wasn't on him, but he still had an opportunity. I mean, his runs, you know what I'm saying? When Patrick gets on his feet, stuff happens. And on paper yesterday, Zach Wilson looked way better than Patrick Mahomes did. Pat was 18 for 30, 203 yards.
Passer rating was way better.
Way better, yeah. He had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Zach Wilson, 28 for 39, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And like you said, the QB rating was amazing for Zach Wilson and much lower for Patrick Mahomes.
It was in the 60s.
Yeah, 43 yards.
Well, I was going to say one thing that post game that Patrick did express, which I really wish you wouldn't have said. was the fact that people think I'm slower, but I'm faster than they think. Don't say that. Like, let them keep thinking you slow. So when they come to you, just
he had
don't do that.
This whole receiver group, right? They of all those guys, you play over 100 snaps between all 5 of them, and they had 43 yards total.
No. Here's the worst part. Here's the worst part.
If there's nothing wrong with that, something's wrong with that.
Your wide receivers only had eight catches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, MVS, and look, I've gone on about this week in and week out about him. Man's making $11 million, and he had one catch last night for 2 yards or 10 yards, whatever.
All right,
that's a problem.
We're gonna come back. It's time to take our first break, but before we do, I gotta give props to Kadarius Toney because I've been on his head since the season started, and that boy took a hit yesterday, bounced off some defenders, and kept going.
He dodged the hit. He ducked that head in the nick of time.
Yeah, but he meant business last night. So, all right, Kadarius, I see you.
He's back home.
Yeah, it is time to take our first break of the evening. We are live from Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. It is week 3, season 5 of the Red Hour. We have a very special guest who I'm very excited to talk to today on our panel. So he's coming up, and we'll talk more Chiefs football. We'll go around the league because there were some games yesterday, and I think some people might start to be in a little bit of trouble. We'll talk about it.
Wow.
It's coming up. Week 3, it's the Red Hour, live from Chicken and Pickle. We'll be back in moments.
It's that time for Love It.
What just happened?
Is that time for Love It or Hate It?
Steve's got a lot of
Because Steve's a stiffy?
Yeah, that's what he is.
I can't hear Q. What happened? His volume's kind of down or something. All right. We are back. The Red Hour, live from Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. And the standing ovation just kept going. I was like, did they think Taylor Swift was here?
Y'all threw Q off, man. Leave Q alone over there.
He's still reeling from last night.
Yeah.
Hold on. What time did it start and what time did it end? Because we were curious about that. What time did the concert actually start?
I heard she walked on about 9:55.
Yeah, it was around like 9:55,
No.
like a little bit before 10, and then she did about 2.5, almost 3 hours.
What?
Like easily.
So why it was supposed to start earlier than that, right?
It usually 8. From what I was hearing.
Did you go?
No, my wife and daughter went.
And so
they didn't get home till 2 o'clock in the morning.
On a school night.
Easily.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to start at 8. What I've been hearing in other cities is that she started around like 8:30ish, and then if some cities had like infrastructure problems, whereas traffic was heavy, she would start later, and so I guess that's what happened this time. But no, it was.
I'm sorry. Yep.
It's not like
I'm making that face because I work in the business, and trust me, no show is postponing or pausing their show because they did it in New York because of the rain and the subway systems were shut down, so they had to do some stuff there. And she paid to have the subway stay open later.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Kind of stuff. But no.
But this, I was saying it was because the stadium wasn't full enough at that time. But it was like traffic was like,
dude.
Stupid.
They don't care. They got the money's made, all of that. It's the last day of the tour. They were in town, and she had special guests here. So,
Because I saw somebody said one of the latest times that she started was like 9:30 in one city.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Did she expect people to just sit around and wait?
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
and they will.
That's
And they
crazy.
will.
No, people
And they did.
people literally in every city that I saw,
Yeah.
like they were blocking out whole 3-4 days in a city for this. So it was either a day before the concert and then 2 or 3 days after, or 2 or 3 days before concert. Next
Yeah,
day,
they were
then
taking
leave.
days
Like,
off work, and it was a thing.
It's yeah.
It's
So
a
if
thing.
you there, and then walking in the concourse, like you get to see people. Like a lot of people were just my girlfriend. She was out there she was asking people like, "Hey, y'all got a nice looking group. Can I take a picture of y'all?" And she had like a little disposable camera. So it was.
That was his girlfriend's way of saying, "Oh, look at that outfit."
She's like a
got me
record
hearing
keeper.
this.
Like
Really?
so, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's dope.
like
Hey, if they were doing the
it was
Wizard of
cool.
Oz, there was a 10-man audition at Arrowhead last night. I'm just going to say that. All right, folks, let's get
So,
back
yeah.
to the business at hand.
More football, please.
One of my favorite human beings is our guest tonight, Chiefs Hall of Famer, the Mr. Deron Cherry. What's
Yes,
going on,
One of the
brother?
hardest hitting safeties in the NFL
Man, look.
ever.
Good to be here. Good to be seen, and good to see you guys. Haven't seen you in a while, brother.
It's been a minute. It's been a
Yeah, it
minute.
has
Too
been.
long.
Yeah, it's
I've
good
tried to
see
pop
you.
in and see you at your office a couple times, but you
Yeah.
was either out golfing or making more money. But it's so good to have you here. Thank you for spending your Monday evening with us, talking some Chiefs football.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
So let's talk about this Chiefs offense right now, because it's been struggling a little bit. Last week they went off, but
Mhm.
they could.
It's a
Yeah.
dejected team, too.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. So what do you think is going on right now?
I just think they just got to get a little more consistent in how they want to attack different defenses. We start out, it seems like, we want to throw,
Mm.
and we abandon the running game. Well, in this league, if you don't run the football and keep teams honest, you're going to struggle offensively, because then those guys up front, and let's give the Jets credit, they got a front four that can bring the heat.
Absolutely.
Oh,
if
they
you're
got
gonna-
11 that can bring the heat on that
yeah,
team.
if you're gonna throw the ball, they're gonna bring pressure. And I think it was interesting when the Chiefs started to run the ball. That's when their offense started to get moving. That's when they
Yeah.
started moving it down the field. They started getting, big chunks. They started opening up the passing lanes down the field. But when you're just going to drop back and throw, it's going to be awful difficult to contain, that pass rush, especially when you're up against a front four that has some dominant players that can rush the passer and put pressure on you. And it also puts pressure on your offensive linemen. I think those big guys, their mentality is, hey, we want to be physical. We
They
want to
like to
start
run the
knocking
football.
people.
Right. Trey Smith.
And
they
when,
love running
and
the
when you
football.
start to run the ball, and you're successful at it, man, those linemen get more charged up, because they realize, hey, this is the kind of game we want to play. We want to be physical. If we're getting 5, 6, 7 yards a chunk, we want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It just seems like we get in that mode, and then we pull back from it, and then that's what causes problems. And yesterday you saw Patrick throw 2 bad passes that were interceptions, and those were key interceptions that gave a team like the Jets, who were down, that didn't have anything to look forward to. It gave them that momentum in their house. And in the National Football League, any given team at any given moment, once they get that momentum on their back, they can take it and run with it. And I think that's what we saw last night.
It's like, oh, I can do this. I can actually
we
do
can
this.
actually win.
Yeah.
Mr. Cherry, when you look and you talked about the offense, especially running the football, Steve and I, we get a chance to talk to the players after practice and during the game, after the game and stuff. But when you see someone with the mentality, and you might have saw a highlight last night of Trey Smith on a sweep, pancaking the guy. When you see that, and like you said, you want to keep going back forward. What is it about injury that always makes them pull back? It makes them like go back to Patrick just throwing the football. Because one of the things that I'm noticing is that because it doesn't seem like he has enough trust in his wide receivers, he's going after, he's trying to get the ball, to force the ball to Kelsey. And teams know that. Instead of just running the football and trying to maybe, throw them off by getting somebody else involved. I think the problem is that, they end up not catching the football, or he overthrows them or underthrows them, as we've seen before. But why do you think Andy likes to abandon the run so early when it's working in the team's favor?
Because he's got a guy by the number of number 15 and Patrick Mahomes that he trusts. And let's face it, the NFL nowadays, it's a passing league. It's not a running league. It's a passing league. I think you throw because you can get big chunks of yardage. You run to keep them honest. But I think Andy, by nature, he likes to put the ball down the field. Now, the problem is he doesn't have that go-to guy that can get deep down the field, because ultimately he wants to make big chunks, right?
And that's going to be my question to you. Do you think that they're still suffering offensively because they haven't identified that number one receiver or somebody outside of Travis Kelce that they can get the ball to downfield?
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it, but I think it's important that, the guys that he's playing with right now, they got to find a way to get open. And that's the thing. I think it's more a matter of separation, right? We're not seeing our receivers separate. And we see a little bit of it when we're running the ball, and then teams have to worry about that running game, and then that opens up play action pass down the field, and then they could get Kelce open behind the linebackers or get a wide receiver coming across the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And so they're able to do that when they're able to be balanced offensively. When they just start passing the ball, it just seems like we don't have receivers that can separate.
See, when I was watching the first couple weeks, it was, they were, and Patrick talked about this post game, they were just sitting back in the zone, which of course they sit back in the zone. You're not running the ball, so they expect you to pass. So now when they're starting to run the ball, how much of it is it Patrick making them better, the wide receivers? Because I feel like he's supposed to do that, whether they're open or they're not open. He has to throw them open.
Yeah, he's got to throw them open, but they should be getting open. But I think the way defenses play this team is, hey, we're going to let you run the ball because we know you don't want to run it.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you try to run the ball. Now, if they run the ball, they're going to gash them. And then I think later on that opens up their passing attack a little bit more. You see Kelce gets open a little bit more. You see some of those receivers underneath, they're able to get open and find space inside the zones, because let's face it, most teams are going to play this team as a zone defense because they see what Patrick does to them when they go man-to-man. They open up the field. He takes off and runs. The Jets, in two crucial situations last night, in third and long yardage situations, what did he do? They went man-to-man. Opened up the middle of the field.
He was gone.
He runs 15, 16 yards on one. He gets 25 yards on another. And you just open up the game for a guy like that who's made big plays. I mean, I don't know how many times you got to watch film from past games, Super Bowls and whatever, and know that man-to-man coverage, your defenders' backs are turned to him. And if he sees a crease, he's gone. He's going to pick up the yardage. So I don't know, to me in those situations, play a little bit of zone. And, if you got a rush 3 and zone 8, at least you're giving yourself a chance to be successful where they can't pick up 16, 25 yards because they're playing man-to-man on the back
But
end.
I think the other thing when it comes for defenses that play Kansas City's offense is that they don't have respect for the Chiefs wide receivers because you don't have that Tyreek Hill. Now, granted, last year because they didn't know what to expect from Kansas City, they can surprise them by Patrick dinking and doinking and spreading the ball around. But this time around, because you got film on them, you see that MVS is supposed to be 6'3", 6'4" with a 4.3 speed, but he can't separate. Sky Moore's supposed to be that route receiver, that precision route runner, but he can't get it, so he can't give any separation, can't get open. So because of that, the defense is not respecting the Chiefs wide receivers.
I disagree with that because those are the same guys who did exactly what you're saying in the Super Bowl and had very big plays during that game. So they have the skill.
They had another guy out there who they account for, which is Juju Smith-Schuster.
But that's what I'm saying, Sean. Like last year, it was an anomaly because nobody knew what to expect. But most of the players that came back, you got all off season. And again, as we just got to saying, MVS is the team's number one quote unquote wide receiver. He had one catch for 11 yards. The man's making $11 million and he's averaging 2 catches a week.
Yeah. Well, I think we saw something last night in one play where Rice caught the ball And that's where they're going to be looking to develop him a little bit more
Right.
if he can hold on to the ball. I
I also saw a pass where he hit the ball to the ground. Like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's got to be more consistent where Patrick can trust him that he's going to catch the ball in those situations.
It might
And
take
I
a little
think
time.
as the season goes on. He's going to get more comfortable with the offense, and I think they're going to look to him more as the season goes on because hey, he's a big target. He's a guy who can run after the catch and gives them the ability to make some plays like Juju did.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to that improving. Now, hey guys, it's a long season.
It is. Very much so.
Well,
Very much so.
So
Yeah.
you gotta, as this offense goes, and Andy Reid has shown throughout the years as when he was with Philly and even with Kansas City, his football teams get better at the time when they need to get better.
I do. I'm sorry.
And they definitely do get better. But I mean, even back then, he had the same characteristic of not running the ball, like having the Deuce Staleys and the Westbrooks. They were more utilized in the screen game. So then when he comes to Kansas City, same thing with Jamal Charles. You have this Hall of Fame running back that future Hall of Fame running back that can run all over the field, but you're running, most of his touches on the screen game. And I think that's where Andy's deficiency comes, like not being able to utilize the run. We seen when the Patriots had their dynasty, you never knew what their offense was going to do. You always knew they had Tom Brady, but some weeks they might run the ball 40 times. And I think being able to be that malleable throughout the season, like being able
celebrate this $2 word.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
but being able to be that flexible, I think it helps the offense be more dominant of what you're looking for when you look for them to dominate a team like this versus.
Do you think that's a Bieniemy thing that we don't have him now?
No, because that's and Andy Reid was the same when he had Donovan McNabb. Like it was 70% run. 70% pass, 30% run. So when the run game wasn't working, like you already knew that they were going to pass. So then they had James Thrash, which the fan base knew him as James Trash. And you had Todd Pinkston, and then you had all of these guys that were not number ones. Yeah. So then when T.O. comes in, it's this big splash. So again, when I say Tyreek Hill is missing, you miss those like one-in-a-kind athletes because Patrick Mahomes becomes this gunslinger because, hey, I can throw a no-look pass. He's going to run under it because he knows the route scheme. He knows where I'm trying to throw in these windows. These young guys don't know that yet.
And it's chemistry too. I mean, you saw one last night where it was a third down and he was expecting Sky Moore. He was on the sideline to come back. Yeah. You got to come back, and Sky just flattened out and he didn't come back to the ball.
We've heard him say it a million times, like, dude, don't stop moving. Yeah. I know that's the route, but don't stop there. Keep it going. Yeah. Get open.
Come back to the ball.
Ball.
That's receiver 101 from first day of training camp. Right. That coach is get back to the ball. Come back to the ball. Come back. So the quarterback has a window. He can get it to you. And that's his fault. I mean, he should know that by now. You got to come back. So I'll take these mistakes early in the season. As long as we're winning, they're good. They're good teaching moments. But by the end of the year, you got to be better than this. You got to be able to make plays. And, and as far as teams running the ball, the one thing that you notice about, you talked about New England, when New England had their dynasty, they could run the ball when they wanted to run the ball.
Exactly.
And that's where we got to get to.
40 times
and sometimes it's a mentality that those offensive linemen, they got to understand when it's time to be physical and run and mash people and to be able to control the game. And the Chiefs did that last night a little bit on that last drive. They got the ball. I forget how many minutes left. And they just ran out the clock. They just ran out the clock. And that's what you got to be able to do. And good teams find a way to do that.
And you made a point with the linemen getting into the game and wanting to like smash some heads, because the pancake block you talking about, I believe Trey Smith posted that on his Twitter today.
Oh, yeah. Well, he should have.
We're going to come back to that. It's time to take our second break of the evening. We have Chiefs Hall of Fame safety, the Deron Cherry, in the building with us. We know it's early in the season, but I got some question marks on some of these teams and maybe some of these head coaches already.
Really?
So we're going to discuss that when we come back. We are live for season 5 of the Red Hour, week 3. We're live at Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. We're back in moments. And we're back. It's the Red Hour, live from Chicken and Pickle in North Kansas City. If you see a familiar face, that's because the legend is in the building.
Yeah.
Chiefs Hall of Fame safety Deron Cherry. It's so good to see you, bro. Welcome to the Red Hour. We know it's just week 3, but I got some questions for some of these teams. Mike Tomlin.
You gonna start there?
Really? I'm gonna work my way because he's never had a losing season,
Right.
and the Steelers are struggling. I mean, he's got a whole new quarterback to deal with, and things just aren't looking his way. And yesterday, post game, he was like, "Some changes have to be made. Something has to be done. I'm not used to this, and this ain't gonna happen." Do you think his head will be on the chopping block soon, or
No, the Steelers are pretty consistent in how they deal with their coaches. They know they got a good coach. He's won Super Bowls. The problem that they have is, like most teams in the league, I would say probably 80 or 90% of the teams have in the league is at the quarterback position.
Yep.
If you don't have that guy, and then you top that off, they've got an offensive coordinator that doesn't seem to be able to fit those pieces together in the right way. I mean, they haven't had a 400-yard offense since the guy's been there. It's almost been 2 years now.
Yeah.
So
Wow, really?
they have to, and where other teams have had multiple 400-yard games. So when he talks about changes, I think he's talking about how he's going to shake up. I'm not necessarily sure he's going to fire the offensive coordinator. That would be a surprise since everybody was asking for him to be fired last year.
Right.
And instead he kept him this year. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think offensively there's going to be some changes, whether he grabs somebody else to start calling the plays or something different, but they've got to switch it up. They've got to change it up, and their defense has got to play better too.
Yeah.
So do you think some of that hesitance on switching an offensive coordinator is because you have such a young quarterback in Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, that's true. And you got to figure Mike Tomlin's a defensive coach.
Yeah.
So you got to really find somebody that works well, gels with that quarterback, and that's the advantage I think we have as the Chiefs. We got Andy Reid that's used to developing quarterbacks throughout his career, understands it, brings in coaches that can work with those quarterbacks where that quarterback has, some familiarity with him and also is able to listen to him and that quarterback coach is able to coach him up and make sure that he goes into the game, he's confident and he knows what he's doing. I think there's a lot of coaches that, they rely on somebody that may not be as good at developing those guys and understanding what the offense and what they want to accomplish. And I think that's where Pittsburgh is right now. There's no identity at that position. And they're trying to find it where other teams have it.
And speaking of development, like quarterback development, I think the Chiefs were at an advantage too, because as low of a ceiling as they had with Alex Smith not being able to make the Super. And that's not a shot at him.
Like Alex Smith.
No, that's not a shot at them at all because I give the organization credit because of how they stuck with Alex Smith, but then built around him. And the point I was making is that they had 3 or 4 years to scout out the quarterback that would fit in their system in a Patrick Mahomes. So you're able to watch him in Texas Tech for 2 or 3 years, and they would have had, they probably had some conversations.
Yeah.
But just being able to have like those conversations and like develop somebody, not develop them, but like being able to build a rapport previous to getting into the organization. I think you make a point, like having an offensive coordinator that can develop that talent.
That quarterback position, it's not an exact science how you pick them. You're getting lucky. I mean, I remember, when we had an opportunity back when I was playing, we could have drafted Dan Marino. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody let him slide.
Yeah.
He was the last player taken, like the 20.
Nope, let's get Todd Blackledge.
And and so I mean, when you get in that, think about the Chicago Bears right now.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears could have drafted Patrick Mahomes. And
We would have had Deshaun Watson.
Right. It could have changed their whole, franchise for 10, 12, 15 years.
But
they didn't make that decision, right? And so now all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball. You draft Mitchell Trubisky. Matter of fact, you trade up to go get it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's a bust.
One spot.
Look at the Cleveland Browns. Now look at the situation they in now. They got rid of Baker Mayfield, right? Now they got a quarterback that guaranteeing $270-some million to, and Baker Mayfield's down in Tampa.
He's balling. Yeah.
And so
it's a crazy.
it's a crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot. You just don't know what you're going to get, but you better have coaches there that can develop these young men and make sure that they're learning, especially the younger quarterbacks as they're starting out their careers, because you don't want to destroy all their confidence. I mean, and I'm glad to see that. The Jets quarterback last night at least stepped up a little bit more because they already had him in the garage.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? They had him in the garage ready to pack him.
He was crying himself to sleep at night until yesterday. So another question, Bill Belichick, he's not used to losing at all. So
he lost to.
Yeah.
He lost to.
You can see the look on Bill's face.
Well, he don't
at
have
the
a
end of these
quarterback.
games.
You don't have Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that position is so vital and so key. Plus, the weapons that goes with him. He doesn't have the receivers.
But Mr. Cherry, I mean, look, let's not forget, he led them to the playoffs as a rookie. But Bill Belichick was so smart, he decided he was going to bring in a former defensive coach and make him the offensive coordinator along, the guy that's in Philadelphia now. But he used to be the Detroit Lions head coach, but he brought him back after he got fired from Detroit, made him the offensive coordinator, actually co-offensive coordinators with somebody else, and ruined Mac Jones his second year last year. So it's not that he didn't have a quarterback. Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. You gotta say it like that.
and so because of that, I mean, you're messing with his confidence, and it's not the quarterback, because he had won 3 national titles at Alabama, so he knows how to win. He knows how to play. I mean, and he played in the system a la Patriots under, being coached by Nick Saban, so he knows how to play the game. But Belichick, being as smart as he thought he was, thought that he could just put anybody in as an offensive coordinator. After after Josh McDaniels left, and we saw what happened. Because
Josh McDaniels did a really good job with him, but he didn't do a good job with Derek Carr.
But that's an organizational thing, right there.
And that's what I was going to say. Is that more of an organizational thing where Josh Daniels knows his place here versus, like, not saying he has to know his place as a head coach there, but he's in a minimal role, not minimal, but still, like, being an offensive coordinator versus being a head coach. I don't think he's as effective there, and I think his specialty clearly lies in, like,
well, some coaches aren't meant to be head coaches.
Yeah,
they're meant to be coordinators. I mean, Spagnuolo, he had a shot, but to me, he's meant to be a defense coordinator.
You know what? And I'm glad you
so
I was going to ask you about that.
Fangio. He's the same way. So I mean, those guys get their shot, and it might be one shot that they're getting, but I think it's a travesty that my boy in Washington, he can't even get a shot. And look at what he's done with that offense this year.
I want to ask you, for someone who played safety, what you thought of Spags and his system, especially talking to him after the game last night. One of the things that I always felt that when he had those rookies come in last year, they had, they didn't know anything else. So they learned it. So they bought into a system, and now we're seeing it kind of pay dividends. Justin Reed as well, being 2 years into his defensive system, we saw, and I was talking about it last night, like all the open field tackles that they were making. Brees Hall and them, they were running down here hard and fast, and they were able to stop them and make open field tackles. What do you think about his system and how the players are performing in that?
Well, his system allows you freedom. And, he makes a system so that, he's confusing the opposing team. So it puts you in a better position to be able to make plays and understand what they're trying to do and how they want to attack you on the defensive side. So what I see with this defense, I see these guys, these younger players getting better. They're in the system one more year. So they're familiar with the way he wants to call things. I would like to see them guys in some cases where I see that I get frustrated is situational football.
Yeah.
Like understanding that this is what can happen to you and you got to be prepared for it. And you should be prepared for it if you're studying film. And if you understand the situations that teams can get you by studying film, you're going to even put yourself in a better position to make plays and not overrun. Because I saw yesterday there were situations where they're overrunning plays.
Yeah.
When the backside gap is open, you should understand situations and how they want to attack. That's the only thing I see that they need to continue to develop. And as you get older as a player, those things come. So I'm sure that they're going to get better at those things as the season goes on. But that's one area where I think situationally, and that's what has made Bill Belichick's defenses so great.
Yeah.
And what's the guy in Tennessee? If you watch his teams, when situations come up, they seem to they know because they're so prepared for those situations to happen. It's like secondary nature, right? Yeah. They know, okay, this situation, 3rd and long, we got to be worrying about screens and draws, right? And sometimes we're running out of there and we're just like, wait a minute, do you not understand?
Yeah.
Here's how they can attack you. And if you watch enough film, they're going to tell you what they do on 3rd and long. They cut up the film, by 3rd and long situations. So you can watch every single play from a 3rd and long or a 3rd and short and kind of have an idea what the team likes to do. Most teams don't change.
And you talk about that freedom. There's not a lot of teams that can have a guy like Chris Jones that can tell him. I watched they do like the mic'd up, and the Chiefs put that out every week, and it was Nick Bolton. He was like, all right, just line up. Whoever you want to win against, go line up and we'll rotate around you. How hard is that to get a defense that's able to do that?
Well, with Spags' defense, that's what he gives Chris the freedom. When you got a dominant pass rusher and this guy can go one-on-one with everybody, if he's lined up inside, he's going to get double and triple team, right? So what do? You put him out on somebody and you make it happen. It's just like in the playoff game last year against the Bengals, right? What do? He moved the defensive end inside. He went outside, got the one-on-one matchup. He makes the sack. The game's over. We go to the Super Bowl. Right. So it's that freedom in Spags' defense that allows him, a dominant player, to make that decision within the structure of the team.
Right.
The fact that if he did that and nobody else knew what their assignment was, now that's detrimental.
Right.
But the fact that they work on that throughout the season, they know that Chris Jones is going to go where the matchup is at a crucial play in the game so that he could be one-on-one and be at his best. So it gives our defense an opportunity to be successful. That's why it's hard to stop these blitzes that Spag goes, because he's got them coming from everywhere. You don't know who's coming. Yeah. So it confuses the quarterback. There's no way in a week's time that you can get prepared for the things that he's throwing at the quarterback.
Right? I can sit and talk football with Deron for days. This freaking week was weird in the NFL, and we're going to go walk around the league right now because there were some ass whippings that were handed out yesterday that we weren't expecting. Like Dallas over New England, 38-3.
You weren't expecting that?
Not that big. I mean, I was expecting New England to lose, but jeez.
That's my Super Bowl pick, Chiefs Dallas.
By the way, San Francisco over the Cardinals.
I like San Francisco.
Tennessee and Cincinnati. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, he was rubbing his arm yesterday. He's got this cap issue. They just gave him $655 billion. And
they won it.
They should have found a way to get some linemen.
Right.
Because that dude's on skates every time he drops back.
To Orlando Brown?
Oh, man. It's bad how beat up he got yesterday in that game. I mean, he was throwing the ball. People were hitting him as he was releasing. I mean, he didn't have no time at all.
Nothing.
And that defense for the Titans, them boys up front were bringing it.
Yeah. And then your team got pushed into overtime by the Commanders yesterday. I wasn't expecting that.
I mean, why not?
I mean, I was going to see a good
brought up
game.
the reason.
I mean, I know that, but
they should have went for 2 though.
Yeah, but Jesus,
I mean, they should have went for 2.
That just goes to show me that, you know, when Philly plays a good football team, they're going to feel it.
Well, I mean, and last year they lost to the Redskins.
The Commanders.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But last year they lost to
They
them.
did.
Like that's a division rivalry where they kind of know each other. But then who do you add into the mix? Eric Bieniemy. So now
brings a winning mentality.
No, definitely. And that's why I say like Philly is I have confidence in them, but they're still a young team climbing. So.
Which is funny because, you know, at the beginning of training camp, what were they complaining about?
He was too hard on us.
He's yelling at us. And then Ron Rivera is sitting over there saying, well, my guys look like they were gassed.
Yeah.
Well, come on, man. This is the NFL.
My guys look tired. What
Clearly,
do you mean?
If your guys are gassed, can you imagine what that defense is like? They're gassed. They're totally gassed. Now you got an opportunity to go for 2 and be successful at it because they're all gassed.
But Deron,
they can't think.
but that's the difference between a winning mentality and a losing mentality.
But hold up, but how many
coddling his players?
How many football movies have had this narrative? Like, are they the little giants?
Right, they definitely the little giants. And then the game yesterday that everyone wished just wouldn't have happened. The Bears against the Denver Broncos. What?
Well, it's funny that you brought up the Denver Broncos, and I know you're going to like this. Mm-hmm. They put up a comparison of Patrick Mahomes' numbers and Russell Wilson's numbers, and they're pretty much identical. For this season.
Oh, are we surprised?
Well, no. I'm just saying I know you're going to like it because but it just shows you when we talk about defense.
Have a winning record
it's a defense that's a lot better.
Well, and I think literally what I've been saying since last year is that Russell Wilson is a coach away. Like teams are a quarterback away. He was a coach away from that. But again,
why is he a coach away? He's supposed to be a coach. Russell Wilson doesn't need a coach.
Russell Wilson is 10 years past.
That?
Me?
Why would you say that?
No,
but no, and I think what this game might not be indicative of that, but I think what we see from the Broncos is that they get a little bit better. I don't know if they get astronomically better to become like AFC West division champions.
No.
But I think they make a stride this year. Next year we might see them take a leap, but it's football.
Russell Wilson ain't taking a leap nowhere. He's going to gradually pick his leg up and put it over there like an old man is.
His stats are the same as the best quarterback in football.
But records are.
But it always reminds me of thinking about these coaches that leave the game for a period of time. And then when they try to come back in, the game has changed for them.
It's
so
changed.
Peyton had who was the quarterback he had in New Orleans? Drew Brees, right?
Yeah.
Now he's got Russell Wilson, and it's not the same.
No.
So
he doesn't have the same pieces.
Right.
Too,
you have to get with the rhythm of what your quarterback is best at doing. Yeah. And I think early in the year, Peyton's trying to figure that out.
And he came into this season too mouthy. To be working with Russell Wilson. 2 more games I want to talk about before we get into this next game for the Kansas City Chiefs. This Buffalo-Miami game yesterday. That was a really good game.
Yeah, I had a
division.
warm feeling inside.
It's a division opponent.
Rivalry.
But
the rivalry and
Josh Allen did Josh Allen things yesterday.
And you, I'm sure you know this, but it's the history of the league. When a team scores 50 points, they normally the next week they don't come out on fire. Like they come out pretty dead.
Yeah, and plus, it'd be different if they were playing Buffalo and Miami.
Yeah.
But it's up in Buffalo, and that's probably one of the most difficult places to play.
Oh, it got loud. You could even hear the announcer at certain points yesterday.
Josh knows the defense.
Right. Yeah. And then, what Buffalo do? I think I saw it where they played like 80% zone the whole day.
Yeah.
So now that takes away that deep threat of Tyreek getting behind the behind the defense. And all those guys, they're keeping them up in front of them. And Buffalo's defensive line, they were after him. They wasn't giving him much time. He was sitting back there thinking that he could take a 7-step drop and wait for a deep receiver.
Yeah.
And the pressure was on him.
And the surprise team that I keep talking about week to week, these Detroit Lions and not your grandma's Detroit Lions.
Yep.
They are looking really, really
True.
good.
They
34
tried
to
to
20
push.
over Green Bay yesterday. So, I think they're going to be trouble.
Think so?
Yes, absolutely do. I think these Detroit Lions, because that's our only loss so far this season.
We talk about having people believe. They really, like, I have a lot of family that lives in Detroit, and they really have the city behind them and believing that they are going to make the playoffs.
They
and
are
go far.
all bought in. I mean, they love this coach. These players will die for this coach.
Yeah.
And it shows week to week when they're out there playing that they're like, we're not done. What do we need to do? Give it to us. Let's go.
Y'all remember this point in the season in 2019
What?
when Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes?
well, no, because you got to remember 2018, they were right there. They were 5-5, you're offsides. So everybody was already bought in.
D4.
No, and that speaks to my point of how they developed the team still.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, again, having that, like, oh, we're undefeated at this point in the season. Oh, we're a really good team that can score at will type of thing. So, yeah, like, you all remember that. So, yeah, I can see that for Detroit, especially after losing for so long.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like one of these people that I don't like to see teams kind of jump out there real fast and have that great
flash
start, like a flash in the pan, and all of a sudden they get injuries, and then they get injuries to key personnel, and then all of a sudden they start sliding backwards.
Right.
And
That was
Pittsburgh
Miami last
2020,
year.
11-0.
yeah.
No, but that was Miami last year.
But I do believe, like Detroit, their coach, they've taken on the personality of their coach. I remember when he first came in, I'm wondering, like,
he's
who's
talking
he
crazy.
doing? He's talking crazy.
We're going to bite their toes off.
Eat the
babies.
Gonna bite
But
the
I tell
kneecaps
you
off.
what, he's changed the culture of Detroit.
Definitely.
I think they're a good team. But they're only going to go as far as Jared Goff takes.
Oh, yeah.
them.
And Jared
Detroit
Goff will
is
turn
still
into
gonna be
Jared Goff
Detroit.
sooner or later.
And I will tell you, they came in the Arrowhead and they won that game, but I guarantee you, Chris Jones had been in there. It might have been a different story.
Travis Kelce as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talked about this
And Travis
Chiefs,
Kelce.
this
No,
first
definitely,
6-week stretch of games for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was like, oh, we got that, and we struggled against the Jets, but we are now headed to Minnesota, and this is the official Kansas City takeover weekend. So a lot of Chiefs fans are going to be headed up to Minnesota for this game. So there'll be a lot of red in the stadium.
A lot of red in New York.
Minnesota gonna
There was a lot of red.
They're going to give up all them tickets in Minnesota.
I don't know. Yesterday it was a lot of tickets.
I know. Minnesota,
But they got a new, bigger
they
stadium,
travel.
too, huh?
Yeah, but they usually that stadium's usually packed with purple up
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but Minnesota's Minnesotaing right now. So but
Yeah, but Chiefs Nation does travel.
They
I mean,
do.
last night you
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
They were. It was a lot of
and
fans.
Chiefs
all
Nation is
over.
getting strong. I mean, hell, we had Hugh Jackman and Deadpool up in the suites. You know what I'm saying? So this game against Minnesota, will it be as easy as we thought it should have been against the Jets? It's Kirk Cousins.
Chiefs picked a
No,
little bit of
I mean,
competition, man. So I don't
You
know.
can't say it's Kirk Cousins because you couldn't say it was Zach Wilson yesterday.
You absolutely couldn't, because we didn't even know
And that's
who
the-
Zach Wilson was,
well,
and he showed us yesterday.
And I think that's a tough thing that always worries me about the Vikings, and really any Kirk Cousins team, because I feel the Commanders were that when he was there, but you put athletes like Jay Jettas around him, like he can really like put the ball in places to where they can make plays, and he doesn't have to worry about being the hero.
But he'll turn the ball over.
No, but that's the point that I was gonna make. Like,
Yeah.
but then he turns into 5 interceptions instead
And
of
if
3
Taylor
touchdowns.
Swift goes to Minnesota, we can turn the ball over a lot too.
But I think you talked about Justin Jefferson, and I think he's the person that scares a lot of people as far as like Chiefs fans goes, right? But and I talk to Darren about this, and I say this all the time, and I'm pretty sure that as a defender, these guys have seen the Stephon Diggs, the Jamar Chase. There's not anything that Justin Jefferson is going to be able to do that's going to confuse this team.
No, and they've gone against great wide receivers before, so these guys are much better. They're a year developed. The younger players, the cornerbacks. I mean, it's not going to be something strange to them. And let's face it, these guys were in the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
Absolutely.
So when they talk about big games, these guys have played in big games. And so I don't think that's an issue. I think what's an issue is, Minnesota's number one. You got to stop the run against them.
Yep.
right? And that's where our defense usually has some hiccups, right? They get gashed, and then they rely on that running game to open up Kirk Cousins, because Cousins isn't the type of quarterback that's going to beat you dropping back like Patrick Mahomes is every game. He has to have a complementary running game to make sure he can get open so he can throw the Jefferson down the field on play action pass.
Right.
That's where they get you.
Yeah.
Where they hit you on those big plays down the field, because you got to go up there and think about that running attack. So if they have to stay disciplined in the secondary. You can't be biting up. Them safeties can't be coming up through the middle.
Right.
And then they going over the top. And that's one area that last year we used to get our butts burned. You know, guys sucking up and they hitting passes over the top of us. We've been a lot more disciplined this year in that respect. But these are the kind of games where that thing starts to open up. Around the fourth game of the season, you getting comfortable with the way the defense is. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're going to stick your nose in there, boom, over the top, and then all of a sudden you got big plays. And what happens is you get into a game like this in Minnesota away from home. They get that momentum. They start doing that Viking clap, that Viking clap, and that play starts getting loud. It makes it awful hard. So,
all right. So, what do you see happening in Minnesota this week?
Well, I think the Chiefs have to play better. I think they're going to learn from this week, and they realize that any given Sunday, any team in the NFL can beat you. So you're going to have to be on top of your game. I think Kelsey's going to have a big day. I think they're going to try to stop him, but they won't be able to. I'm hoping that some of these younger receivers, you know, Kadarius Toney and those guys open up the offense a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think Pacheco, you know, if Andy is committed, they need to run the ball. You know, they got to establish that run and that mentality, especially early in the game, to get them offensive linemen to get that pass rush for the Vikings, because it's going to be loud inside.
Yes, you do.
The way to keep that pass rusher off of is run the ball. So if they can do those things early in
offense, you know, just keep drives
going
on.
Keep drives sustaining. But I think, you know, as long as you run the ball and keep that pressure off of Patrick, because you're not going to drop back against that pass rush and expect the guy over here on the right side and the guy on the left side that they're going to hold up, you know, 4 and 5 times when they're coming. That's not going to be. So they got to run the ball.
All right. So let's make our picks. We'll start with you, DJ Q. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. KC takeover weekend. Who you picking?
He already knows who I'm going to pick. That's the funny thing.
You picking your cousin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's not my cousin, but yeah. There's a chance I regret this next Monday.
Laugh now, cry later.
No, because I think the Vikings eke one out at home. I don't even want to say it's going to be more than a touchdown. I'm going to say it's less than a field goal.
Ooh.
But I'll say 27-28.
Oh.
But
Who?
I think the Chiefs win if they can put the pressure on Kirk Cousins. But I think the run kind of keeps them a little honest. And I don't know if they make the plays defensively to.
So who you got winning?
Right.
I just said it.
No, you said 27-28, then you said the Chiefs will win.
No, I said Kirk Cousins.
He said Kirk Cousins. He got the right
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. It's 1-3 Vikings, nephew. You looking to see?
I was just trying to see
this week.
I was trying to see what Minnesota had. They scored 21 points. I think if you're able to keep this Minnesota team within the 14 to 21 points, the Chiefs have a great chance.
Great chance.
You looked at Detroit, and I say this all the time. If this team, you get Patrick Mahomes the ability to get to 30 points, they're going to win every game. So I have the Chiefs 31-17. Chiefs.
Well, since the Chiefs don't like to cover the point spread, and it's 5.5, I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer than that. And I think the Chiefs just played to their competition. The question is, how do they stop Justin Jefferson? Because he's gonna be the difference maker.
He's gonna have a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's just who he is. He's just that guy. And so whether it's LJ, whether it's Trent, they're gonna have their hands full dealing with him. But at the end of the day, I got Kansas City winning. I think it's a little closer ball game. I'm gonna give them 31, but it's 31-27. They don't cover.
The Wizard of Odds says that the Kansas City Chiefs have a 67.6% chance of winning this game in Minnesota.
Well, they're favored in every ball game.
Oh yeah,
year,
but
so
that's
not
a little more than favored there.
Mhm.
So
I think it's going to be a tough game for them because
I think it's going to look like
Minnesota
this game did
can't
yesterday.
go to 1-4 because
And Andy's gonna go away from the run early in the ball game, and everybody's gonna be screaming and wanting to throw something at their television because it's like, why is Patrick dropping back? Why is he getting hit? Why are you in a pass situation where Juwan false starts or gets called, gets a flag on instead of just running the football?
yeah, this is one of those games where it's going to be a physical game because Minnesota's physical. They like to play
Always.
physical, and I'm thinking that the Chiefs might have a slight advantage considering the fact that Minnesota got beat up pretty bad in the game last week against the Chargers.
Mhm.
So I think they're going to try to come back and redeem themselves. So it's going to be a dogfight. The only thing I'm concerned about, the Chiefs got to come back on a short week
Yeah.
They do.
and play against
Thursday
the
night.
Broncos at home. So
Oh, that's a bye
I
week.
mean, that's and there ain't no bye weeks in the NFL. I don't care who you play. But
Miami and-
I like the
Denver.
Chiefs here, and I like them. 31 to 21.
Okay.
All right. You heard it from the man himself, the legend, my
He had
friend,
me until he covered their points. For
Deron Cherry, bro. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Uh,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
This man has hosted the greatest golf tournament in Kansas City history for decades now.
Yeah.
And hopefully I get to make it this year. I haven't played in a while, but
Yeah.
I missed playing in that tournament. But now I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I might have an opportunity to do so this year in 2024 coming up.
All right.
So, Deron, thank you so much, brother, for being here.
Thank you.
Whenever you want to come
Yeah.
back, you are more than welcome to,
Yep.
because your football mind is absolutely amazing,
Thank you.
and we just appreciate you. So, give it up to the legend.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for
Short round of
us.
applause.
Monday Night Football. You can come by and check it out and hang out at Chicken and Pickle. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the New York Giants. It's going on right now on all the screens. Play a little pickleball. Do what you got to do, but do it here at Chicken and Pickle, North Kansas
It's
City.
crazy, real quick. It's crazy how quick they flipped that field from the Jets to the
That's what
Giants.
we
To the
talked
Jets
about
and
last
Giants,
Under
yeah.
24 hours. Crazy.
Yeah. It's that whole Lakers Clippers.
Yep.
Yes.
We literally
insane.
saw them do it last night. Like, yo, still look at that. Oh, they've already switched it.
Wow. I guess they only switch in several pieces, though.
No, that's a lot.
No.
So they take the whole freaking.
Yeah.
No, they have to repaint the field. They have to repaint
Oh,
the
wow.
field, and literally every Jets flag that's all over the
yeah.
thing, and
Outside.
the pictures and everything that's Jets in the press box the same. They switch it all out.
All right. Shout out to the crew
Crazy.
working hard in New York or
Yeah,
Jersey.
that's a serious turnaround.
Yeah,
from
it
last
never
night.
sleeps.
For real. That just happened.
Yeah.
All right, folks. But we will get some sleep, and we'll be back here next Monday, same time, same bad channel here at Chicken and Pickle for week 4. We'll talk about what happened at the KC takeover in Minnesota. Y'all be good, be well, be safe, be good to each other, and we'll do it again on Monday night right here. It's the Red Hour.
The views and opinions expressed in the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, Wall Street Foundation, or affiliates.